Hello, and welcome to my thought for this very rainy, very erratic um, Thursday. Very erratic. I was thinking about the good that's coming out of this lockdown. And the thing that I was thinking is now I think we're reinforcing families. And one of the things that I think is happening is families are finally eating together. And they're getting to know each other where they have conversation around the dinner table. Our family ate every night. My mother attempted 6 o'clock. Daddy was always late. But all the activities of our lives took place around the table. It would start out with breakfast, where my mother would make my father eggs and she would give me cereal, and my sister would eat everything on the table. And then we would stay at the table and we would talk. My mother's sisters would drop by because we lived all very close to each other. We lived all very close to each other. My Aunt Hazel lived across, I had to climb a fence, and my Aunt Tick lived 4 doors down. And so the sisters would come and they would talk, and we would talk about the day and talk about what they were doing and what, of course, they were making for dinner, and where they were going on the weekend. And they would talk about their beauty shop appointments because that's the kind of thing my family talked about. And we would talk about and we'd gossip about what other people did. And then it would be lunchtime, and my mother would make some kind of elaborate lunch, and I would eat it and listen to the radio. And I would listen to the radio serials, Argyle Sunday, who was about a mining girl, a simple little girl from a mining town in the West, who was the most complicated character you can imagine. And then we would listen to Just Plain Bill, who had, without doubt, the most exciting life of anybody I've ever met. It was Just Plain Bill. And then my mother would sit there, and then the repairmen would come in and would talk, and then we'd have somebody would come visit, and we would talk, and we would tell jokes, and then my father would come home, and then we would have dinner. And my father would read the paper, and my sister would sit there and try to eat everything, and my mother wouldn't let her. My mother was always putting her on a diet. My mother would eat grapefruit and watch how we were eating, and my and I would be the one that was stuck eating everything, which is why I got this terrible eating disorder. And when but everything that happened in life was began at that dinner table, and at the table where we ate. And I believe that this is happening now with the lockdown. But I remember, because of this emphasis on food and never leaving the table, I had this terrible eating disorder. And the psychiatrist said, "I think that's a Jewish thing. And I said, "Yeah, I think it is. It's eating at a Jewish table." He said, "But all you ever talk about is food." And I said, "Well, is there anything else to talk about?" And he thought about that for a while, and he said, "No, no, I guess there isn't," because he was Jewish too. And thank you so much for joining me for my thought.